Hi guys, welcome to House of Mimosa, the podcast aftercast. I'm Travis.
And I'm Steven.
And, we try to keep our podcast short and concise and under an hour if possible, which is hard to do sometimes with music and our sketch comedy and guests and hot topics.
And sometimes we don't get into all the things that we really want to get into.
Right.
And so we figured why not try to sit down and maybe hash out some of the topics and revisit them.
Right.
Yeah.
So on this week's podcast, which was episode 6, we had special guest Sean McConnon talking about boy makeup and his experience in the fashion industry.
That's right. And his new reality show that's coming out
His
soon.
new reality show called Exiles, which is for MTV UK and will be airing in Canada and the UK.
And Ireland, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So check that out. That starts in March.
Which is exciting. And it was so great having him.
He was great. We're so excited to be doing this and to be sponsored by our podcast sponsored by Dragaholic.com.
That's right.
So go to iTunes and subscribe, please, to House of Mimosa, HAUSOFMIMOSA. You just put that in the search, and our podcast will come up.
And we're going to be hashtagging everything.
Oh yeah, if you have questions for us or topics you want us to talk about, or if you want to comment on the podcast, all you have to do in your social network is hashtag HOM podcast.
That's right.
And we will get those. So I wanted to talk about a little bit more about Mary Cheney.
Yeah.
Because
oh my gosh.
She came out now Mary Cheney is Dick Cheney's lesbian daughter. I feel like we have to qualify it and say lesbian daughter because she kind of said something that I feel is
surprising in the community
for a lesbian, someone who's part of the LGBTQ. I can't speak.
Yeah.
LGBTQ community to say.
Yeah.
So she basically compared drag to blackface and said, why is drag okay and blackface not okay?
Yeah. Which I think it has to do with her own insecurities with maybe femininity. I'm just going to put it out there. But I think it has to do with maybe something that she, is insecure about.
Well, I said on the podcast, if she's equating drag to blackface, she's not seeing the right drag shows.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's a very ignorant statement to make. And I think the majority of drag performers, I mean, you always hear them say that they're in love with women. Like, they are wanting to emulate that because it's something that they love.
Celebrate it. It's a celebration
that's the word I was looking for.
Women.
Yeah.
Really.
And, for us, in our drag, our characters at the very beginning were based off of women in our family.
Yeah.
And
it's celebrating those women.
And now, we're doing comedy, so we're making fun of certain things.
Yeah. And maybe we are making fun of certain stereotypes and this and that.
The thing I feel like with comedy, especially with my comedy, I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
With my comedy, all of the stuff that I make fun of is definitely done with like love in my heart,
of course,
and tongue in cheek and
innuendo.
Let's all laugh together, So if you want to find out what the exact quote was, do we have it? Do you have it?
I don't have it here. No.
If you want to find out our exact quote, you can Google it and find it.
Yeah.
Next, we talked about.
Oh my God.
Bobby Christina.
Oh gosh.
Now, at the time of recording our podcast, like literally, like 2 minutes before we sat down to record, we saw online
that she had been rushed to the
hospital.
Yeah.
So, where does it stand now? Have you seen today?
I saw today that Bobby Brown is having a hard decision, deciding if he wants to basically pull the plug or not. And I think that the doctors are advising him to do so. And so the next couple hours are going to be crucial. So I think that's what we're dealing with right now.
And I read that they said that drugs were found in the
I didn't read that.
In the area.
Okay.
In the house, wherever she was.
Yeah.
So that's sad. That's very sad.
It's very sad.
All of our love and positivity go out to her family and friends, and that's a tough thing. And
it's a sad situation.
And again, you guys aren't alone. If you need to reach out to anybody, even if you wanted to reach out to us, reach out to us. We know that it can sometimes feel very lonely out there.
We're all over the social media, so
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
contact us.
Well, don't bog me down with your depressing stories. No, I'm kidding.
Oh God, do you think that Angela Bassett movie did it? Jeez.
Well, that's what our Michelle said.
No.
Michelle, our co-host on the podcast, said that this movie might have stressed her out and
took her to an area and to a deep end that,
But you know what? If it's a drug situation and she's been doing drugs, she's been doing drugs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what can you do? And I don't think that Whitney Houston movie was that.
No, I don't think it was that bad. It just showed that maybe she was doing drugs before she ever met Bobby Brown. So, that's the only thing that I could think of that somebody would have against it. But, well, I mean, there were other things too, but. All right, well, let's move on from there.
More lighthearted. Drag Race has a premiere date.
Oh my God, March 2nd is the premiere date.
How do I look? So excited.
So excited about that.
This week they released RuPaul Presents the Cover Girls 2 video series / album, which, if you're not a fan of Drag Race, they did this last year for the first time, and it's all the contestants for the season cover a Drag Race, cover a RuPaul song.
Yeah.
And I'm not wearing my glasses.
Oh.
I thought, give the people something else.
Oh.
And it's a little distracting to me. Because I can't see.
Because you can't see yourself.
I can't see. That's okay. We can, if you've ever filmed video before, you know that you can kind of see yourself in the monitor.
Yeah.
And it's very blurry for me.
And it's hard for me because I look at myself sometimes and I'm like, oh.
All right. Anyway, so the Drag Race contestants cover a RuPaul song.
Yes.
And they make a video and put it out. Now, I can probably say with the utmost certainty that each contestant has to produce their own video.
Yes, I believe so. Based on what we saw, I believe they do have to produce their own.
You know me, I'm super critical.
Yeah.
And I have to tell our audience, if you know me, you know I'm super critical, and I don't it's a part of me that I actually don't like. I feel like I
think it's the creative side of you that is like that, though. That you just want things to be better, or you want. I
think I work very hard at my craft and at content for our show, and so it's and if you're watching this for the first time, we're drag queens in New York City and travel around doing our show.
That's right.
So we work really hard on our show and our comedy and our content and all that stuff, and so sometimes to me it feels a little bit like, what are these other performers thinking? Not even just in drag.
Yeah.
So I'm critical and I'm hard to impress, and I something about me I'm working on.
And I usually am not that critical because I usually give people the benefit of the doubt, but I was only blown away by one of the videos, actually.
And I was surprised, and it's the same one that I liked?
Yeah, at Max, I believe it was done by.
So Max,
shout out to you, Max.
Yes,
that
girl.
was a fabulous video.
Oh, she was giving me like high fashion Fiona Apple.
Yes, throwback.
Criminal video.
Yes.
It was great. It was really great. And here's the thing I have to say. They're producing their own video, so not all of them are going to have access to the best equipment or editing software or whatever it may be.
That's right.
But I'm a big fan of, and you hear me say this all the time, whatever quality you have.
What are your resources?
Take your resources and use them to the best of the ability. So, if you don't have a camera I'm just using this as an example.
Yeah.
If you don't have a camera that films in color and it only films in black and white, let's produce the video entirely like it was meant to look, like it was being done in black and white.
Yes.
So that it's like, oh, they filmed a black and white video.
And then it's artistic.
Right, exactly. And some of these girls, I'm very interested to know, like, how they're instructed or what they're asked to do, because some of them, like, literally one of them, and this is me, like, I'm trying not to be critical, so I don't want to talk about the person, I don't want to be nasty, but I feel like the more we do our vlogs and our videos and our podcasts, the nastier I'm going to get. So stay tuned for that. Tune in next week as Travis becomes more of a bitch. But one of the girls literally had her cell phone and filmed her video in front of her cell phone. So,
which could have been a choice. It could have been her choice, but I don't know. We don't know. And, but I'm excited for the season. There's two new judges.
Carson Kressley
and
Supermodel.
Matthew Ross.
No, Ross Matthews. Ross the intern.
Ross
the intern from the former Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
All right.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It's two new people
I'm
added
excited
to the
see
mix.
how we've met Carson before.
Yeah,
and he's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see, because I like that Santino came from like an actual design and construction background of fashion, and Carson I think is more of a stylist.
I think more stylist, but also fashion, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how that plays out. And Ross is such a big personality that it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. I think that. Well, and I think that they're huge drag supporters, and I think that they're fans of the show, and so I think it's exciting because you have people that are really invested in the show.
I'm excited for Michelle Visage on Big Brother.
Day 29. 9:24 a.m.
Well, we talked about that too, I believe, in the podcast. Oh my God.
Okay, there's only a couple days left at this point. Perez finally left last night. He's the one in the podcast I keep saying he who shall not be named.
Yes.
Because he's so nasty on the show.
And he gives the gay community a bad name.
Now, here's the thing. I'm hoping that all of his stuff is on purpose. And I could see that.
I think that he may have produced himself.
He got very far, a lot farther than I thought he would have gotten based on how he was acting.
Yes.
And it was like he was kind of over the top when he needed to be and pulled back when he needed to be. And so I'm really interested to see what happens now that he's not on the show.
Yeah.
And hear what he has to say about his experience on there and what he was doing.
I don't think he was himself.
But Michelle is genuine.
She's my savior.
She is. She's awesome.
She's
I love
everything.
Michelle.
She's everything.
I love Michelle.
She's a mother. She's my mother. She's the mother to the community.
I love Katie Hopkins, too.
Oh, yeah. Katie Hopkins is great.
Who is kind of like a...
no holes barred kind of journalist that kind of puts it all out there and is kind of risque with what she says and writes. So I think that people expected to hate her going
into the house, she was booed.
Yes.
So, like, if you've never seen it before, there's an audience outside, and they all enter the house. It's like they enter the Thunderdome, and like there's a huge audience arena, and they were all booing her. Yeah. But now everyone's cheering for her, so I'm really excited to see how it plays out. That'll be over on Friday. Goes. I can't.
Oh, and Callum, we got to talk about Callum.
My new husband, Callum. Callum Best. Hello. Oh yeah.
Callum is beautiful to look at.
Such a good guy.
And what a good guy. I can't. Ooh.
Yeah, I can.
Let's hope we all can find somebody like Callum. Okay.
We're running overtime. I don't want to keep you guys. I know you're probably at your lunch break, or you should be doing work at your office.
Get to it.
But we've also started watching Celebrity Apprentice.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Listen.
We did not talk about this, I don't believe, on the podcast.
We watch too much goddamn TV. This is the problem.
Well, it's part of our thing. It's part of our job.
Well, right. Yeah. Oh, yes. It's part of our job. Well, we use it in pop culture and to write about it and talk about it in the show. But Celebrity Apprentice is awesome.
Ooh,
we'll talk more about that next week.
Yeah.
But so good.
Watch it, and so that when you do tune in to our podcast, you can hear all the craziness that's been happening on Celebrity Apprentice. Oh
well, thank you guys for joining us for our first Aftercast. Make sure to go to House of Mimosa on iTunes and subscribe there.
That's right.
Also subscribe to our Buffum Beautiful channel. That's BUFFEM. Buffum Beautiful here on YouTube. And subscribe here on our House of Mimosa channel. And please click the thumbs up. Yeah. And if you got something you want us to talk about or questions for us, just post it to your social network and hashtag HOM Podcast.
That's right, guys.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thanks.